SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my lecture. So today we are going to talk about price elasticity of demand. So far we already know the function, demand function, and also we discussed about supply function and also the equilibrium conditions and how price gets determined. And in the demand function we know that this is a functional relationship between price and quantity demanded, and for supply the supply function is a functional relationship between price and quantity supplied. So now let us discuss about price elasticity, which will give us much better understanding about the changes of the price and its impact on the quantity demanded. So how and what does that mean? So let us first see from the definitions point of view. So percentage change in the quantity demanded due to 1% change in the price. So in other words, one can also see price elasticity of demand as it shows that price elasticity of demand describes the responsiveness of consumer demand to changes in the price. So what does that mean? It means the changes, whether it is increase or decrease, so but changes in the price will impact on the consumer's demand, like how consumers are responding and how consumers are demanding for the goods and services. So that particular that particular consumer behavior or behavior on the demand for commodity is actually referred as price elasticity, like how consumer demand for any commodity is price sensitive. So this is what the relationship that price elasticity of demand shows. So graphically that we know, like for single commodity, like say commodity X, like say price, and here is quantity X and PX, and then and for single market and single commodity, and then demand function as we know is like is downward sloping. So here like say at point A and point B, so this movement that we are like how quantity and price, they are actually related to each other, and then due to change in the price, like say price is getting changed from P1 to P2, like if I move from A to B, then how much quantity demanded will be changed, like say from here X1 to X2. So we already know that if price increases or price decreases, it has the impact, and basically the inverse relationship because of the demand curve, and demand curve is downward sloping. But here in price elasticity of demand, here it will show that how much, I mean due to 1 unit change in the price, how much actually quantity demanded for that particular commodity, and here commodity X is is being changed. So that particular relationship shows that quantity demand is the price sensitive, and this is what we are trying to understand from price elasticity of demand. So now in terms of formula, how we should write, like say if ED is denoted as price elasticity of demand, then percentage change in the quantity and then ratio is a ratio between rate of change of quantity demanded and rate of change in the price. So this is in other words, we can say by definition that due to rate of change in the price, how much changes or rate of changes in quantity demanded is happening. So that means we can also write it as like delta Q by delta P by P by Q. So this is what the price elasticity, that's how we write. By this definition, it seems like price elasticity of the demand will have different values, and different values will mean differently. For instance, let us understand like degree of price elasticity of demand depending on the various values of the price elasticity of demand. So let us begin with elastic demand. And elastic demand for any commodity will be when price elasticity of demand is like ED is greater than 1. So what does that mean? Like ED is greater than 1, we can write as delta Q by Q by delta P by P greater than 1, which means delta Q by Q greater than delta P by P. So it means when one price elasticity of demand or demand for any commodity is elastic, it means changes in the quantity or rate of changes in the quantity will be higher as compared to rate of change in the price level. Means if we change 1 unit 1% unit of the price, then definitely quantity demand, rate of change in the quantity demanded will be more than 1. So value will be more than 1. So means quantity is getting more highly demanded as price is falling. So there are many examples that we can quote here, like say if air ticket price falls, then obviously demand for quantity will be increasing, or if value of the car or sales, there is a sale or significantly price has fallen during festive season, then demand for buying that luxury goods or say car or say air ticket will be increasing. So this is a case of say elastic demand. And then in the diagram we can say like it will be flat, and here demand curve will be flatter, and then here quantity on the horizontal axis and price along with the vertical axis. So say here like price is reduced from P1 to P2, but then you can see that changes in the quantity will be higher as compared to changes in the price. So this is the demand curve in case of elastic good, or when price elasticity is elastic. So in case of inelastic, likewise when ED is less than 1, which means delta Q by Q is less than delta P by P, right? Means as we the rate at which price is changing, responses on the quantity demanded will be much lesser as compared to the price changes. So in this particular case it will be steeper, like P and Q here. So like say you can see if price is falling or say increasing, like say P1 to P2 in this case, then quantity is reducing, but then changes in the price or rate of changes in the price is higher as compared to rate of change in the quantity. Like for instance, the case for inelastic demand could be demand for the necessary goods, or say for medicines. Even price increases, then there won't be much changes in the demand. So for inelastic demand curve will be steeper as compared to elastic demand. So unitary elastic demand, like, which will be equals to 1, which means the rate at which price will change. If you change 1 unit of the 1% changes in the price, then quantity demanded also will be changed by 1%. So it is like linear, but then it is like equal. So delta q changes in the delta q and delta p and changes in the delta q will be equals to each other. So like for instance, if 10% or 15% reduced of any commodity, especially in their price, and if the demand for consuming that particular commodity is equal, like either 10% or 15%, then this is like case of unitary elastic demand. So now let's talk about perfectly inelastic demand. So it is like again P and Q, we know this is vertically straight line where changes of the price either increasing or decreasing, it will have no impact on the quantity. So this is called perfectly inelastic demand when ED is equals to 0. So now in case of perfectly elastic demand, where there won't be any changes in the price, but then there will be rise in the demand for the quantity. So like say price is fixed at P bar, and you can see that the changes in the price is 0. So changes in the price is 0, like QD by Q and QP by P. So if changes in the price, rate of changes in the price is remain same, means 0, then it will become infinity. So which is horizontal straight line. So in case of perfectly inelastic, where elasticity equals to 0, and then demand curve is vertical straight line. So now various types of demand based on the price elasticities that we can imagine, and it depends on the various types of commodities, and then either it could be based on the consumer's taste preferences, or due to external shocks, or government policies on the taxes or subsidies. So demand curve also will change, because quantity demanded will be price sensitive, and then demand curve accordingly also will have different shapes, which also eventually lead to changes in the market equilibrium. So we can actually take various cases, like this is the case where it is unitary, and this is the case where demand curve is elastic. So we know here is like responses changes in the price, and its responses to quantity demand is high, like if this is Q and here P and here P and here Q. So demand curve also could be steeper when when quantity demanded is less price sensitive. In some cases, quantity demand will be not changing due to change in the price, and in that case demand curve will be vertically straight line, and in some cases price will be fixed and then demand curve will be horizontal straight line. So there will be various possibilities of the shapes of the demand curve due to price elasticity. So this could be various kinds of demand curve that we can have it in the market. So now let's move to further further point on the types of the elasticity. One is arc price elasticity and then point price elasticity. So for the arc price elasticity is like say this is demand curve and here price, and along with the horizontal axis it is quantity, and here say at point A and at point B. So in case of point elasticity, if we want to understand the value of say price elasticity at point A separately and for point B separately, then we'll get the point elasticity. But if we want to try to get the average of point between A and B, then we get the arc sort of elasticity. So point elasticity is like every year that we get it elasticity for any commodities, but arc elasticity is basically the average or the mid value of 2 points. If we have new price for any commodity, then and we also have the old price for any commodity, then to understand what is the average change of the price on the commodity. So in order to get the average price changes and its impact on the quantity demanded, that measurement will be getting it through arc price elasticity. So now cross price elasticity, it is important because we already know that quantity, if we have two commodities like say X and Y, and then I request you to recall the examples and the definition of substitute goods and complementary goods. So demand for one commodity is really not depending on the price of that particular commodities changes, rather it also have the response or price sensitive of the other commodities. Like say if price of commodity Y changes, then what will be the demand for price of commodity say X, and vice versa. So in case of substitute goods or complementary goods. So for cross price elasticity is basically say X and Y, and then say quantity X so we can write Qx by Py by Qx. So rate of change of the price of say commodity Y and how it impacts on the rate of change in the quantity demanded for X. So here Y and X, if you recall from the substitute goods, could be like changes in the price of the coffee, how much that has impact on the quantity demanded for tea. So this is what the cross price elasticity of demand. So now income elasticity of demand. We know that income as an external factor of an individual will have its impact on the quantity demanded or and price. So here like if Y we can write as income, and then say changes in the quantity due to percentage changes in the income, like what is the changes in the quantity demanded for any commodity due to 1 unit or 1% change in the income, then it is considered as like income elasticity, and we can write as delta q by delta y, then y by q. And here we can also bring the concept that we already discussed, if you recall, like about the normal goods and inferior goods, where demand for commodity if increases as income increases, that is regarded as normal goods. If demand for any commodity is decreasing due to increase in the income, that will be regarded as inferior goods. So in case of inferior goods, so income elasticity of demand can be taken into account and then try to analyze. And that is also like this is elasticity is one of the very powerful tools in microeconomics to understand the relationship between Q and P, like quantity demanded and the price of the commodity. And here with the elasticity we can also understand all the internal and external factors, including income and external external other factors like climate changes or any other economic shocks also will be taken into account while addressing price elasticity. So now let's move to the price elasticity of supply. So likewise, the way we did for price elasticity of demand, with the help of elasticity we can also understand how supply quantity supplied is price sensitive, and then how supply curve changes its shape because of quantity supplied and price relationship. So here if we write as E small s, like quantity supply due to change in the price, like due to 1 unit change or due to 1% change in the price, how much producer will be changing in its supply of the commodities. So as we know that supply curve is the functional relationship between the price and quantity supplied, and if we draw, it's like if price is vertically if we measure, and quantity we are measuring horizontal axis, and then supply curve is upward sloping, and here is like say changes of the price like P1 to P2, and here Q1 to Q2, and here is the responses, like when we are talking about the elasticity, price elasticity of supply, so we are talking about the responsiveness of this price and quantity supply, say from point A to B. So the way we had drawn the various demand curves based on the price elasticity of demand. So here we can also draw supply curve, like supply curve, if it is flat then it is elastic, price elastic supply curve. If it is steep, like say S1 and then P and Q here, then here changes on the price has very negligible impact on the quantity supplied, so then it is inelastic. If changes of the price has bigger impact on the changes supply, then it is elastic. So obviously if it is flat, then the value will be higher. Likewise supply curve also can be vertical straight line in case of perfectly inelastic, and then supply curve also can be horizontal straight line in case of perfectly elastic quantity price elasticity of supply. So this way, supply curve also will have impact due to changes in the price, and then price elasticity is one of the important tools for supply curve to show the responsiveness or sensitive towards the changes in the price. So now there are a couple of cases, but we can we can take an example, just one example, and then I'm sure you will be able to understand in other cases, like for instance changes in the market, how it happens in the market. So we already know that how market equilibrium takes place, where demand and supply they interact to each other. So here let us understand what are the changes happens in the market due to changes in the supply, and let us take the example when supply is very inelastic. For instance, like say let us illustrate with the help of diagram, and like we are measuring price on the vertical axis and quantity on the horizontal axis, and say demand curve is not changing, like say the same demand curve will have, so there is no change in the demand. But suppose supply curve, say S1 due to, say for example, due to technology, technological advancement, there is a more supply of the say agricultural commodities, or say for instance in wheat production, and this technological advancement had happened say in agriculture. So initial equilibrium is E1 price, and here OQ1 amount of quantity, and then since of supply is more of wheat production, and supply curve moves rightward, and then price fell down from say P1 to P2, and then Q1 to Q2, quantity also has changed. But then in this particular case is here demand for wheat is inelastic, like changes in the price will have lesser impact on the changes in the quantity. So we can see, like in this case it is price inelastic, especially wheat as a commodity, and with the supply, and supply curve is inelastic, and therefore changes rate of change in the price, like from P1 to P2 is much more higher as compared to rate of change in the quantity. So quantity demanded rate of change in the quantity demanded is less as compared to rate of change in the price, because it is less than 1. So this is like this is how in marketplace equilibrium changes, and here is like supply curve in this case we have considered, and supply curve has shifted rightward, and this is sort of supply curve is inelastic, and demand curve hasn't changed any. Likewise, there could be many more cases where supply curve is elastic, as compared to demand curve, and then market equilibrium will change accordingly, like here S1 and S2, and here E1 to E2. And if supply curve and demand curve, for instance, is flatter as compared to supply curve, then changes in the equilibrium will also change accordingly. And this is how in the marketplace equilibrium will be changed as per the relationship between price and quantity, or how price and quantity they are actually sensitive to each other. So there could be many other cases as we move, then we'll also talk about in case of market efficiency or market inefficiency, in case of tax impositions or subsidy, and then we'll show that how price elasticity are important at every stage, especially in the market efficiency. So I'll stop here, and thank you very much for your attentions and for this particular class. This lecture, Jonathan Gruber and Mankiw and Pindick and Rubin filled this. Some of the selected chapters from this 3 books will be useful for you. So thank you very much for your attentions, and I'll see you in my next class.